As we move through life, particularly as we reach the age of 60 and beyond, we often begin to question the very things we once took for granted: our support systems, our relationships, and the pillars we lean on in times of need. When you're younger, the answer to who will be there for you seems so clear: your family, your lifelong friends, maybe even your neighbors or colleagues. But time has a way of shifting priorities, of showing us that the people we thought would be there through everything might not always have the capacity, time, or energy to fulfill that role. This realization doesn't come all at once. It slowly creeps in through changes in conversation, unreturned phone calls, missed holidays, or unfulfilled promises. It's not always because people stop loving us, but because life itself becomes more complex. Everyone grows older, has responsibilities, and navigates their own battles. And while it's important to cherish the relationships we do have, it's equally vital to build a life foundation that doesn't depend entirely on others. The truth is, after 60, the most dependable support system is not necessarily your family. Instead, it lies within 6 powerful pillars that, if nurtured, can give you the kind of independence, peace, and strength that will carry you gracefully through the years ahead. These pillars are not about isolating yourself or turning your back on loved ones. Rather, they are about understanding where real security comes from and ensuring you're never left feeling powerless or unprepared. The first of these pillars is financial stability. While it's comforting to think that our children or family members will always help us in times of need, financial dependence is one of the most fragile forms of support. As much as your children might love you, they also have their own homes to run, bills to pay, and families to raise. Relying on them for money might work in theory, but in practice, it often leads to tension, guilt, and sometimes even resentment. Picture someone like Richard, a 72-year-old man who had always been there for his children, helping them with college tuition, car loans, and even housing support. He assumed that when the time came and he needed help, the favor would be returned. But when unexpected medical bills wiped out his savings, he was devastated to find out that his children, though loving and concerned, were financially stretched themselves and unable to offer much assistance. It wasn't a lack of love. It was a lack of capacity. This is why financial independence becomes the bedrock of a strong, self-reliant life in older age. It's not about becoming wealthy or stockpiling money for luxury. It's about having enough resources to cover your needs, emergencies, and daily life without having to ask anyone else. It means creating a budget that works for your current lifestyle, planning for long-term healthcare costs, and understanding where your income will come from, be it retirement funds, investments, pensions, or even part-time work. Having control over your money gives you more than just buying power. It gives you the freedom to make decisions based on your desires, not someone else's limitations. And that in itself is a powerful source of support. Next comes your physical health, which can either be your greatest asset or your most debilitating liability as you age. It's easy to underestimate how much your body determines your freedom until something goes wrong. You can have financial stability, emotional support, and even strong relationships. But if you're bedridden, chronically ill, or constantly in pain, your ability to enjoy life and care for yourself is severely limited. The hard truth is that no one else can be responsible for your health. Your family can cheer you on, remind you to take medications, or visit you in the hospital, but they cannot walk for you, eat healthy for you, or exercise on your behalf. And assuming someone will always be there to care for you is risky. Carl, for example, a once active 68-year-old, retired and decided to take it easy, assuming he'd get back in shape later. But as time passed, so did his muscle tone, stamina, and energy. Small tasks became difficult. Walking became tiring. And while his children visited when they could, they weren't able to be there every day. Carl eventually realized that if he wanted to remain independent, he had to treat his health as a daily priority, not a future project. That meant walking more, choosing nutritious foods, getting regular checkups, and taking control of his medical routine. You don't need to become a fitness guru. Simple habits like stretching daily, drinking enough water, avoiding overly processed foods, and moving your body can add years to your independence. Your health is your responsibility and your privilege. The more you nurture it, the less you'll have to depend on others down the road. Just as important as physical health is your social circle, which often becomes narrower as we age. Friends move away, loved ones pass on, and social activities naturally decrease after retirement. Many older adults find themselves more isolated than they ever expected. And while your children might visit or call, they cannot be your sole source of companionship. They are busy juggling their own lives, and expecting them to fill every emotional gap sets you up for disappointment. Margaret, a 73-year-old widow, realized this when she found herself waiting by the phone for her sons to call. They loved her dearly, but with jobs and young children, their visits became less frequent. Eventually, she decided to stop waiting and start building a new circle. She joined a local senior club, began attending a weekly book group, and even tried her hand at watercolor painting. These small steps introduced her to new people, new conversations, and a renewed sense of belonging. Human connection is not a luxury, it's a biological need. Studies consistently show that having meaningful relationships boosts mental health, cognitive function, and even longevity. It's not about having 100 friends. It's about having a few trusted companions who lift you up, check in on you, and share your joys and burdens. Whether it's a neighbor you greet every morning, a friend you share coffee with, or an online community you interact with, building a strong social circle outside of your family is one of the most powerful sources of support you can give yourself. The fourth pillar is your sense of purpose. After a lifetime of being needed as a parent, employee, spouse, or caregiver, retirement can feel like a void. Suddenly the phone stops ringing, the house becomes quiet, and you wonder what your days are meant for. But purpose is not something that retires with your career. It evolves. It can be found in volunteering, mentoring, pursuing hobbies, or even caring for a pet. George, a 70-year-old retired engineer, felt aimless after leaving his job. He had looked forward to rest, but soon found himself bored and disconnected. Rather than sink deeper into that feeling, he chose to volunteer at a local school, teaching kids the basics of woodworking. That simple commitment reignited his energy and made his days meaningful again. Having a purpose gives your life structure. It makes waking up exciting. It keeps your mind sharp and your emotions balanced. It tells you that you still matter. And when you feel like you matter, you are far less likely to become emotionally dependent on others to remind you of your value. The fifth pillar is emotional resilience, the ability to process emotions, recover from setbacks, and maintain inner stability regardless of what life throws at you. Life doesn't stop being hard just because you've aged. You will still face loss, disappointment, health issues, and loneliness. But what determines how deeply these things affect you isn't the events themselves. It's your ability to cope. Too often, older adults assume that their children will provide emotional support during tough times. But again, those children may be dealing with their own issues and unable to offer the comfort you need. That's not abandonment, it's just reality. Helen, a 75-year-old woman who lost her husband, initially leaned heavily on her adult children for emotional support, but she soon realized they were overwhelmed themselves. She chose to join a support group, began journaling, and took up meditation. Slowly, she built her own emotional toolkit. Emotional resilience means you don't fall apart every time something goes wrong. It means you can grieve, feel, and express yourself, but still move forward. It comes from therapy, spirituality, self-reflection, creative expression, and community. And once you strengthen this muscle, you will no longer need to be rescued emotionally. You become your own source of comfort, which is incredibly empowering. Finally, the sixth and perhaps most transformative pillar is adaptability. If there's one constant in life, especially after 60, it's change. Friends move away. Bodies change. Technology evolves. What once felt familiar now feels foreign. And the people who suffer the most are often those who cling too tightly to how things used to be. Frank, a 78-year-old man, found himself alone after many of his in-person friendships dwindled. Initially, he resisted learning new things, saying, "That's for the young folks." But when the loneliness became unbearable, he took a leap. He learned how to video chat with family, joined a virtual discussion group, and even picked up a few tech skills that allowed him to connect online. Adapting didn't just help him survive, It helped him thrive. Adaptability doesn't mean you have to change your personality or values. It simply means being open to new experiences, new people, and new ways of thinking. Whether it's trying a new activity, accepting help, downsizing your home, or learning a new device, adaptability makes every stage of life richer and more bearable. It keeps you flexible, curious, and hopeful. And when you're willing to grow, no challenge can truly defeat you. So as you reflect on these 6 pillars, financial stability, physical health, social connection, purpose, emotional resilience, and adaptability, understand that they are not just nice ideas. They are your safety net. They are your strength. They are what allow you to walk confidently into your later years knowing that, no matter what happens or who stays by your side, you are not helpless. You are prepared. And that preparation is the most reliable form of support you could ever build. Your family may still be there. They may love and support you deeply. But your security should never rest entirely on their shoulders. When you invest in these 6 areas, you not only improve your quality of life, you ensure your independence, your dignity, and your peace. You stop waiting for someone else to carry you, because you've already learned to carry yourself. And that, above all, is the ultimate gift you can give yourself as you journey through life after 60.